Hey friends, welcome back to another Q&A video. I have a whole list of questions here to answer. As usual, there are several bread questions and then a few that aren't about bread. Before we get started, I want to chat about my favorite electrolytes, Element. Element has sponsored the video today. Element uses a science-backed ratio of electrolytes that helps you feel your best. It's great for athletes that need to stay hydrated for their athletic events, but then it's also great for everyday people like me, just a stay-at-home mom trying to feel my best, especially on a keto or carnivore lifestyle where you can lose electrolytes really fast. So each packet in here has 1,000 milligrams of sodium, 200 milligrams of potassium, and 60 milligrams of magnesium. These days, I'm taking about 2 packets a day, and that just helps me feel my best and make it through the day feeling hydrated. And I love how they have the nice refreshing flavors that are all fruity and delicious, but then they also have the chocolate flavors that are great in hot drinks. I love this one in hot cocoa or in tea. So good. And Element has a special offer for all of my viewers. You can get a free sample pack just by using my link. Just click the link down below, go over to their website and place an order for anything on the website, and you will automatically get the sample pack added. It has 8 of their regular flavors in here, so you can try them out, see what you like the best. That link is drinkelement.com/indigo, drinklmnt.com/indigo. Click the link, place an order, and you will get your sample pack. Thanks so much to Element for sponsoring today. Now onto the questions. And first off, I have 2 questions about yogurt. So I have done several videos about some really specific yogurts or fermented dairy that really helped me a lot in getting over my SIBO issues. And so I will put a link to, I think I have a playlist with all of that stuff in there. So I'll put a link to that in the cards and down in the description so you can learn more about that. And this question is about doing the yogurt in the Instant Pot. I have an Instant Pot glass lid. Can I use that during the 36-hour yogurt fermentation process? So my answer to that is I expect that would be totally fine. I haven't used my glass lid yet, but I think it would probably be fine. The only thing to be aware of is there's that little tiny hole in the top of the lid or in the glass lid. And so you just want to make sure that you check the temperature of the yogurt as it's fermenting and make sure it's at the right temperature. I don't know how much heat might get released from that. So that's the only thing to think of. When I have worked on, getting a system for my yogurt, I figured out how I could keep the temperature at the right level. And then I just do the same thing every time. So if you, take the time to test the temperature of the yogurt, adjust the temperature of the Instant Pot if you need to get your yogurt at the right temperature, then from then on, you should be able to just use those settings from then on and you'll get the same result. Next question is also about the yogurt. It says, why is raw milk yogurt slimy like honey? So with the Reuteri, I've heard all of those pronunciations. And so I have no clue how it's really supposed to be pronounced. So the LR yogurt, if you make it with anything less than half and half, it is typically pretty slimy. I made some with, I think, just whole milk, and I didn't care for the texture. It was similar to just regular yogurt, but I did think it was a little bit slimy. So I do recommend using the half and half if you want to get the best texture. You'll get like a Greek yogurt type texture, which is so delicious. It's so beautiful. I'm so looking forward to being able to have that again because I'm not doing dairy this month. So hopefully in the next few weeks, I'll be able to add that back to my diet. So good. So good. So if you use less than the half and half, as far as fat percentage, you don't get as good of a texture. Then also Dr. Davis, who is the creator of this fermented dairy product, he says that you don't want to use raw milk. Now, raw milk is super healthy. It has all kinds of beneficial bacteria. It's great for all kinds of things. But when you are taking a different bacteria and putting it into the dairy and wanting that specific bacteria to grow, the good bacteria in the whole milk or the raw milk can actually hinder the LR probiotic and kind of take over, and then you won't get as much of the Reuteri as you would otherwise. So you kind of want a blank slate as far as the milk goes, and then you're growing the bacteria in there from the Reuteri. So definitely not saying raw milk is bad. It is very good. It has all kinds of beneficial bacteria. But if you're specifically wanting the Reuteri bacteria, you want to have like a blank slate, something ultra pasteurized where that bacteria can actually flourish. The next question I had is about my iron infusion experiences. I've had a few different iron infusions over the last few years, and the question was just, did you gain weight after the infusion treatment? So for me, the answer is no. I have not seen a correlation with weight gain after infusion, although I do know that it is a common thing. Some people do, and I don't know if it's because of the inflammation and like you start retaining water, or if it really is, fat gain. I really don't know, but I personally didn't see that as a result of mine. Next question is from Bonita, and that is, which do you think tastes better, the Keto Chow Core or Prime Protein? So these are two brands, two products that I use often, and I actually love both of them right now so much because I can have them because I'm off dairy and neither of them have dairy. So fantastic. They're both beef protein based. So the difference, Keto Chow Core, and they have a chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry, but it is a beef protein shake mix. So it's a complete meal. It has all of the vitamins, minerals, and things that you need for a whole meal. It's not just protein, but the protein in it is from beef. And then of course it has the flavoring in it. And so you can have that as a shake. You just have to add your own fat, which for dairy-free, I like either coconut milk or the beef tallow. Super, super good in there. So the difference with the Prime Protein, and that is from the brand Equip, and they have quite a few different flavors, and it is a protein powder that is made from beef protein, but it is not meant to be a complete meal shake. So it doesn't have all of the added vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. It's more of like an addition to a meal rather than a whole meal itself. I actually use both products together because the Keto Chow Core usually has around 26 grams of protein. And typically in my meals, I want a little bit more than that. So I will add a scoop of the Equip protein powder in there, the Prime Protein. And then that bumps up my protein, but then I don't have to double up on all the vitamins and minerals because I have enough for that meal in the Keto Chow. So that's just a little comparison of the two products. They are similar, but they are also different. As far as which one tastes better, I don't really have an answer to that. I think they both taste really good, and I use them, I'll either use them both together, so it's hard to, compare taste when you're drinking them at the same time, but I use them for different things. I will mix the Prime Protein into yogurt when I am having dairy, and that's really good. The Keto Chow, if you mix it into yogurt, you have to do just a small amount or else it's crazy thick. You could add some water or something to like thin it down a little bit, but I find the Equip protein powder to be better in yogurt. I do use both the Keto Chow Core and the Equip as hot chocolate. They both work really well. I find since the Keto Chow Core has acacia fiber in it, it's a little bit thicker. So if you really like that thick, like drinking chocolate mouthfeel, you can get that from the Keto Chow Core. The Equip protein is a little bit more like just regular hot chocolate rather than a super thick, like drinking a hot milkshake. But they're both good. They're both good. I can't pick one that I like better. I like them for different reasons. I use them for different things, and I have both of them. Oh my goodness. A bird just flew into my window. It might have been one of the chickens trying to fly in the window. Wow, that was shocking. Next question was on my egg white wrap video. Okay, so I have two recipes, and I called one of them crepes and one of them wraps because I kind of just feel like one of them is more like crepes and one of them is more like egg life wraps. But they're both basically the same. One is just made with fresh egg whites and one is made with egg white powder. So when I make these wraps or crepes or whatever with fresh egg whites, they're a little bit thinner. And then when I make the ones with water and egg white powder, then those ones are a little thicker and they're more like egg life wraps that you would get at the store. And it was just asking, what does this taste like? Does it taste beefy? Because the ingredients are either fresh egg whites and beef gelatin or water, egg white powder, and beef gelatin. So I assume it's from the beef gelatin asking if it tastes like beef. The answer is no. Beef gelatin is, pretty tasteless. It's the same kind of thing. Maybe not specifically beef, but probably pork gelatin is what's in Jell-O, like Jell-O in the store. And it doesn't typically have a taste. It's very mild. It just adds the consistency. And so when you add like fruit flavors in there, like Jell-O, it doesn't taste like beef. It tastes like the fruit. So the answer is it tastes pretty plain. One thing I do love about it is that it doesn't have a strong flavor. With the egg whites and with the gelatin that's pretty flavorless. It's just like a clean slate where you can add any flavor you want. I love making those crepes and then putting butter and like cinnamon and allulose. So like a cinnamon sugar crepe. And they're good savory as well. You can do like a wrap. You can also fry them and get them crispy. You can air fry them. So you can do like a chimichanga type thing. You can do like egg rolls. You can fry those or air fry them. It's super versatile, and it's super like plain on the flavor of the wrap. So whatever you put in it or put on it really shines through. So I think it's a great recipe that way. And no, it does not taste beefy at all, in my opinion. All right, now we are on to the bread question portion of the video. I always get a lot of bread questions still. That's probably the number one type of question that I get on my channel to this day. So we're gonna go over a few of those real quick. The first one is, says, can I use buttermilk powder instead of butter powder? The answer is yes. I have experimented with buttermilk powder, and I believe I use the same measurement, like the same amount of buttermilk powder as I did butter powder. And I think it's fine to exchange it 1 for 1. Buttermilk powder has a little bit higher carbs, so just be aware of that. For me, it's not enough to make the recipe not low carb anymore. It's just a little bit more. So just something to be aware of. Wendy over at Loving It on Keto has done a lot of recipes with the buttermilk powder, and I think her favorite recipe, the main one that she does, because we've all done tons of experiments trying to find, what we like the best, and we've settled on, the ones that we like the most. And I think the one that she makes the most often is the one with buttermilk powder. So definitely check out her channel. If I can find that recipe, I will link it down in the cards, but she does use the buttermilk powder, and she may also use butter powder in it as well, so you can combine them. But to answer your question, I do believe that it is a 1-to-1 buttermilk to butter powder substitution. Next question is about freezing the egg white bread. Can you make a bunch of loaves on the weekend and freeze them? The answer is yes. Amazingly, the egg white bread freezes really, really well. I have frozen rolls and buns and whole loaves of bread and sliced loaves of bread, individual slices. It always freezes really, really well. So that is a great way to keep a loaf if you're the only one eating it in the house and you can't eat a whole loaf in 3, 4, 5 days. To just freeze individual slices is great because you can pull out 1 or 2 at a time, and they defrost super fast. So if you pull it out, leave it on the counter for 30 minutes or an hour, usually it's defrosted. So definitely recommend freezing the bread. Next question was actually on the bread recipe I did from Courtney Luna. It's her carnivore bread. So very different kind of recipe from the egg white bread. And one of the main ingredients in that one is pork rind crumbs. And I actually got this question like 3 or 4 different times about, is there a substitute for the pork rinds because they don't do pork? I know a lot of people just choose to not eat pork. And so a substitution for that, and now I haven't tried this in that recipe, but in other recipes where I have tried substitutes for pork rinds, I used some chicken flour. And so I used the Carnivore Crisps brand chicken flour, and in everything that I tried, it worked really well. I have a protein breading recipe that has pork rinds in it. I tried the chicken flour in that, and it worked really, really well. It was really good. And I haven't tried it in this bread recipe specifically, but I did see some other people recommending it. So it does seem like it's a good option, something to try if you can't do the pork rinds. And there are recipes for making your own chicken flour, because I know it is expensive to buy. Chef Fat Grams, if you don't follow him here on YouTube, he has a lot of great keto recipes and just keto ideas. And he had a recipe where he used the microwave to make chicken flour, to dry it out. And I thought that was brilliant. So I will try to link that video so you can check that out if you want to make your own chicken flour. And then if you do try the chicken flour in Courtney Luna's bread recipe, let me know. Let me know if it works out. Next question is about parchment paper when making the bread. Says, so I have to line my pan with parchment paper. I usually just spray and my breads pop right out. I was just wondering if the parchment paper does anything or if it's just for ease of removal. So it is for ease of removal. I don't think I've ever made a loaf in my aluminum pans and not used parchment paper. So I can't say how well it'll pop right out if you don't use the parchment paper. But I know some people do that and it works just fine. So, just try it. I know with silicone pans, I don't put parchment paper in there. The bread pops right out when it's a silicone pan. Next question is asking about if you can use butter in the bread recipes instead of butter powder. Okay, so yes, the answer is yes, but you have to do it in a specific way. So with the egg white bread, when you whip up the egg whites, if you add a bunch of melted butter or, any kind of liquid fat in there, it typically makes the batter fall and you're gonna not get the right texture. You're gonna get like a pancake batter texture, which is really great for making into pancakes, but not so great for baking as a loaf of bread. So if you want to use butter instead of butter powder, what you can do, and I have a whole recipe, I have several recipes where I use this technique. You freeze your stick of butter and then you grate it. So you have like little shreds of butter, and then you're able to mix that into the whipped egg white, the batter. It just incorporates the butter through there. And then when it bakes, it melts and you get like a really nice texture of the bread and you get the flavor of the butter all the way through, but you don't get the effect of the batter falling. So it is a great technique. So I have a lot of different recipes for bread, and some of them they use butter powder and some of them they use the frozen shredded butter. They're both great. They're different, like the texture and the flavor, and then the macros, of course, are very different. The amount of protein versus fat and all of that. And so you can, try different ones and see what works for your macros, see what you like the best, because they are different. So lots of different kinds of recipes to try. I don't say there's one that's really better than the other. It has to do with preference or like what you're using it for. So just try it. And if you want to do the butter, definitely the frozen shredded butter makes a fantastic bread. Last question is another bread question. And that is, have you tried baking the bread using a Pullman bread pan with the cover? The answer to that is no. And I've had that asked before, like if you can use that kind of pan. And I can't say 100% for sure. So definitely if someone has tried the bread in one of those pans, let me know down in the comments how it worked out for you. I believe I heard from somebody that it caused the bread to shrink. Something about the pan being so narrow caused the bread to shrink or something like that. So I am curious though, because I did hear that a long time ago and I may be remembering it wrong. So definitely let me know if you have tried that. I would love to hear. Okay, that is it for this Q&A video. Leave any other questions that you would love to know the answer to down in the comments, and I will see if I can address it on the next one. I hope you guys are all doing great, and I will see you again in the next video.